So here we are, game number 1 of this best of 3. A quarter-final of WCS EU qualifier number 2. A qualifier number 1 for season 2 of 2014. The one that matters. The game that is all important. Because win this, you're in season 2 of Challenger League EU. Lose this, you have to requalify later in the week. Spawning in the top right hand position of Overgrowth. Representing Team Liquid, we have MaNa. And his opponent down to the lower left. Representing Rockcat, Dimaga. So, this is gonna be some very, very fun times. So much on the line. A spot in WCS EU Challenger League is your portal, potentially, through to WCS EU Premier. It's where all the money lies, it's where all the WCS points lie. And this is what every player really wants to be at, and wants to be in. They've battled through a lot of worthy foes so far this evening. Both of these two have been playing for about 4.5 hours already to get here. It's a big bracket, it was about 190 people. And so, getting this far is no easy achievement. Both have gone through some very talented people. And as such, getting to this mark and not qualifying is stressful. Because you've got to do it all again tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. Not what you want to have to do. But if you get through, you're in a really good point. Because if you get through in the first quarterfinal, you've got a week to practice until Challenger League. You've got the confidence that you can through probably the toughest bracket. And finally, you can chill. You don't have any more stress coming through. Quick scout coming down from MaNa now, who did open with a nice early Nexus. It was actually a Nexus first coming down there from MaNa. Dimaga, on the other hand, he opened pool first into that hatchery. And he's going to get his third blocked a little bit now by this sneaky probe. Because sneaky probe is going to be annoying. He doesn't want a third base to come down. However, 2 lings will be more than enough to deter him to try and stop. So the reason we see Dimaga taking a really early third base just before the 4-minute mark is because his Overlord saw it was a Nexus first, and so he knows that, okay, I need to be making sure that I keep up economically. Really important. More things to keep a closer eye on is while this natural does look really wide open, these pipes are actually not passable terrain. And therefore, you can wall it off quite easily actually as a Protoss player. So going Nexus first, really viable. Dimaga, just going to be droning really heavily. Really heavily. Until MaNa really reveals a bit more about his strategy. But with the Cybercore, only just done. Not really much else can occur. 2 lings just coming through now. And getting a quick little check, getting a quick little look. They're going to want to try and identify what kind of tech's coming, but MaNa, he doesn't want to hide this. Stargate is part of the wall off. Oh yeah, he knows that's there. So, really it's what comes out of this Stargate now. And to be honest, in PvZ, all of them are completely viable. Voidways are probably the least likely, and Oracle or Phoenix more probable. But Voidway openings are a thing. They're really annoying. And they may not lead to so much early harassment, but some Overlords can still get taken down. And you can still start picking away at things, and mid-game they're probably actually the strongest of the 3 openers. Phoenix, less harassment than an Oracle, but a lot more versatility, and they last a lot longer. You can keep harassing with them, they're harder to take out, so this is pretty cool. Overlord will die, he knows he's going to die, so he may as well try and get as far in to MaNa's base as possible to give his master Dimaga as much information as possible. Unfortunately, Phoenix are very good against Overlords, despite Overlords being armoured. They don't last too long, so down he goes. He saw a pylon building, which isn't too helpful, but won't see the additional gateways. Dimaga has his lair coming down. He's taking 2 additional gases now, taking him up to a total of 4. We've got Obviously, Dimaga's third base happily running. He's already hit the 56 drone mark and is continuing to drone heavily. The reason we don't see him panicking, going, "Oh my goodness, there's air units coming at me," is that Phoenix, they're not scary until there's really about like 3, 4, 5 of them out. So this spore crawler timing's fine. The Queen can poke them away. Sure, a couple of drones may die, but the Queens won't die. And that's the important thing that Dimaga doesn't want to lose. He needs those injects. And drones, when you can make 14 at a time, are actually fairly expendable. As bad as that sounds for them, this is big corporate world of Zerg, and the poor little workers, they're expendable. One day the drones will go on strike, and that'll be awful. Awful for the Zerg kind, but unfortunately I think drones are mindless and are just forced to do whatever the Overmind or the Brood Queens decide, so they probably won't ever go on strike. But they should. They have a pretty bad time, especially in this situation. Now, because the Stargate came down, it's perfectly viable to go Ling Hydra, because MaNa isn't going to have much splash out anytime soon. Phoenix pulling back, 4 of them now can take out a Queen, 5 easily can if the Queen is too far away from the defensive spore crawlers. But the concern for Dimaga is that MaNa is teching up exceptionally fast. Now, while this may seem like a beautiful idea, there are problems with it, because the production for MaNa is limited to only 2 gates and the Stargate. So this third, which is really greedy to take, is gonna run into some problems. Because there's not too much to defend it, unless those force fields stay as fantastic as they were and shut down those Lings beautifully. MaNa playing really solid this game. Finishing off that Immortal before starting up the Colossus production. He's got extended thermal lance being chronoed, and he needs those Colossus fast. Because Ling Hydra is great against Immortals and Gateway units, but is shockingly bad against any kind of splash. Be that Colossi, or be that High Templar with Storm. So many Lings coming out of Dimaga now. This is massively aggressive. He wants this third base dead. And it's going to be ridiculously hard for MaNa to hold this now. There are just so many units here. Great force fields though. Zoning out so much of this force, but still, the Hydra's going to start working away at that cannon. The Colossus are just about to pop out, but it's a long way off. Income Lings from the flank, adding into the surround. The sentry energy pretty low, so the force field's not stopping everything. MaNa about to lose a lot of forces here. The Nexus not being focused, and with the Colossus coming in, these Hydras and Lings need to be very careful. The Ling's going straight for that Colossus, and without support, while it dishes out great damage, it can't take too much. So there's a risk of dying, but MaNa just holding on. That Colossus with 35 HP. Ridiculously close. Out it goes. No third base takedown though, and that is what Dimaga was looking for. Dimaga is nearly saturated all 3 bases, needs like 3 more drones to do that. But he's 3 bases up against 3 bases, and that is in by no way perfect. So what we need to see now, coming down from Dimaga, is either a 4th base or another attempt to break that 3rd. And to be fair, breaking the 3rd shouldn't be too hard now, because the Mothership Core's only got energy for 1 more Photon Overcharge. Most of the Gateway units were killed, but more importantly, Dimaga has got a good number of Corruptors out, and they serve 2 beautiful purposes. Number 1, they can take out the Phoenix. Number 2, they can take out the Colossi. They're the 2 scary things. The Void Rays coming through will help. They're a long way off from being done. Dimaga gearing up to move in again. These Corruptors just running through. There's only 3 Stalkers. That is not an adequate number of Stalkers to deal with 12 Corruptors who are just like charging after this Colossus. This poor Colossus is seeing his life flash before his eyes momentarily, but he dies way too fast. Photon Overcharge triggered as well, so that blows another 100 of the Mothership Core's energy. Stalker's trying to scare this off now. There's a lot of Lings here. They've only got the Carapace upgrade though. In come the Corruptors now. They're going to be able to take down that Mothership Core before starting to get to her on the Phoenix. The Lings though are battling up against so many Zealots. And those Zealots are 1-1. So they don't take much of a beating, but they still take 3 shots to kill the Lings with +1 Carapace. All of the Corruptors, though, now getting taken down, and this is looking beautiful for MaNa, who's just played such a splendid game so far. In terms of resources lost, Dimaga losing nearly double that of MaNa, and MaNa's economy is now actually better than Dimaga's, up at 69 compared to 59 workers of the Zerg. This is looking very good for the Liquid player. And Dimaga is going to be struggling to try and find a way to actually break this game now. He needs more drones, but the trouble he has is if he drones more, his army's going to be lacking, and he knows that MaNa's sitting there with quite a scary force, waiting patiently to come a knocking and come a killing. Still, keeping a good eye. MaNa not wanting to risk engaging yet. He wants to not fake the pressure, but he wants to put the chance of pressure on the table, because then Dimaga, he has to produce units. So MaNa wants Dimaga to produce cheap, lower tier units as kind of an emergency response to his force, as opposed to going to push, because if he pushes into that, there's a chance he can lose. But if he bides his time and knows that he's hurt the Zerg economy, he can actually just sit back, get a great army, get great upgrades, and get everything that he needs to win in the later game. Whereas Dimaga will be struggling the longer this game goes on, due to be down 10 drones. No sign yet of a fourth base, though. That fourth base is going to be really important for MaNa, unless he wants to end out this game soon, because Dimaga is still a base up. And he's got a good Corruptor flock now, he's got a good amount on the ground, but MaNa is keeping such a close eye on all of this. He's got the Observer Vision, really just saying everything that is there. The Void Ray count is only a 2, but there's the 31 Stalkers that are going to help a lot. Dimaga loses this fourth base, there is going to be a lot of problems. And he probably is going to lose it now. It's definitely going to go down, but has Dimaga got an edge? He's able to flank this army with a small number of units. The Corruptors are going to try and take out those Colossi. No mass recall. The Mothership Core just going in with this. Time warp down on a lot of the units at the back. The Void Ray trying to work through the Corruptors. Now the Corruptors are gone, though. They get some great corruptions down on the Stalkers. So the Colossi have died. The Void Rays have died. But it's up to the ground army. Is there enough? The Corruptors aiding with that extra damage against these Protoss units, but the Blink Micro coming out from MaNa is solid. Army supply is in Dimaga's favor, though. He's able to crush through this force, or at least take out the majority of this force, pulling back now and resupplying with a lot. Unfortunately for him, though, we're sitting here and the Corruptors are now basically wasted supply until more Colossi come out, or more Void Rays come out, because they can't attack ground. They can't really do anything too much. So, keeping a good eye. I'm keeping a good close peek on this. This creep spread is ridiculous, by the way, from Dimaga. All the way up to the fourth base. It's the gold base that's been taken, though, by MaNa. MaNa's gateway count is up at 9, so he's got a fair few of them. Can resupply fairly quickly, but Dimaga still up overall in the supply count. Gonna try and take out this fourth. A lot of probes coming over. Those probes do not want to be here. That is a bad place for probes to be. Run away, probes. Run away to freedom. Good work. Keep running. A couple of you are gonna die, but casualties. Fourth base taken down. Nice control here by Dimaga, who's double expanding. He has to do this. Needed to be a base up. Never really got that. So goes for the double expand. Tries to get 2 bases up now. It will make up for it. And this game is actually surprisingly close. MaNa was in a really good position, but Dimaga taking just such a beautiful fight down the side here, able to get that flank, gave him such a good position, he was able to crush that army of MaNa. Checking to make sure the top left hasn't been taken. And this is such a controlling game now. Positioning and expansion management will make the difference between who wins and loses this. So much on the line between the two of them as well. The winner, as you know, gets a spot in WCS EU Challenger Season 2. The loser has to try and requalify. A gap in the wall, a couple of things make it up into the main. And I know that seems like me getting hyper about very little, but it forces a warp in. Corruptors engaging straight up against those Colossi. One falls, but a lot of the Corruptors go down. The Void Rays doing work. Great force fields coming down from MaNa, but with only the single Colossus, does he have enough splash damage? The Void Rays going down to the Hydralisk. These are expensive units that MaNa is losing now. The Corruptors not coming back in, just more Hydras pushing through. The Colossus having to back away. Is there enough damage coming down from MaNa now to try and crush this force? With the second Colossus coming through, with the reinforcements, yes there is. Forces Dimaga back, who's resupplying with a lot more Lings, a lot more Hydras, and a lot more Corruptors. Army supply again, swinging into MaNa's favour. Dimaga knows he can't hold. GG is called, and game number 1 goes to Team Liquid's MaNa.